Excellent. Well, good afternoon. We've snuck into the afternoon, 12:06. Welcome back, everybody. It's great to have you back here. Um, these are very special sessions. Every year since 2019, we've had Social Value Awards. And last year we had 269 submissions. Um, and Everyone got a little chance to say a few words, but we really didn't get a chance to understand what their award was all about and what they have achieved. And so we've started out, we did it last year and we're doing it this year, asking our award winners to come back and spend some proper time telling us about what they've achieved, what the project, why they won the award, and what they've done in the past year. And this is one of those occasions. We've got another session tomorrow lunchtime as well, and then we'll have some sessions also on our last day. So we're delighted that Shah is here to chair this, and she'll be introducing your panel. Shah Begum, I've worked with now, I've known you for quite a few years. I can't remember how many it is, but I first came across Shah at the 2022 Commonwealth Games, where she was leading some of the work there. And now more recently, she's with Legacy 2022 and doing some amazing things around just ensuring that the Games leaves a legacy. Shah has an eye for detail, and some of you might not know this, but I do. She's 20 years in the legal world as well, as a paralegal, well, certainly. So don't start arguing with Shah, because she will argue back, I promise, and with a really thought through argument. So she's a fantastic advocate for the voluntary sector and also for social value, and she will be your chair for today. Shah, over to you.
Thank you very much, Guy. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Shah Begum. As Guy mentioned, I am the Head of Outreach and Social Value at United by 2022. We are the advocates for place-based social value in the West Midlands. Yes, I do have a background in construction law, and I've seen the way that construction can generate social value and bring change in communities. 5 years ago, I saw the light and took a step back from the legal profession and moved into communities and social value. So if ever I was on Mastermind now, my specialist subject would be communities, social value, and where are all the best bakeries in Birmingham. So if any of you are coming here on Thursday and need advice, hook me up. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of chairing this session, which I would like to petition to be called Where Are They Now? The Social Value Edition. If you were here last year, you'll remember the excitement of the Social Value Award. So there was lots of applause, some really great stories, some slightly questionable dance floor moves. But today we get to catch up with some of our brilliant winners and find out what they've been up to since they took home their trophy. I've had the pleasure of judging the radical collaboration category for this year's awards, and I've been really impressed with the quality of the submissions that we've received. Some really fantastic examples of people who are exploring things that are needs-led, community-focused, art of the possible projects. And it was a really tough decision for us to pick a winner this year. I know from speaking to some of my fellow judges in other categories that they've also been really impressed by the submissions that they've seen too. But as Guy mentioned, a common theme that was coming up is what happened since people finished their projects last year? What was the next step? What do they do with their awards? How do they celebrate their success? So this is an opportunity to chat to some of last year's well-deserved winners and answer exactly that question. You won't be surprised to learn that they've not been resting on their laurels. I know from the call that we had when we were planning these sessions that these folks have been really busy continuing to create the impact and change and really champion social value in their organisations. We've got some really great presentations coming up. Then we'll have a discussion about some of the themes that are emerging, and then there will be an opportunity for you, the audience, to ask any questions. So as we go along, do pop your questions in the chat using the Q&A function, and we will get to as many of them as we can at the end. So sit back, get ready to be inspired, and maybe take a few notes, because who knows, next year it could be you that's up here sharing your story. So let's dive in and meet our fantastic panel. I'm going to ask them to quickly introduce themselves before we head into their individual presentations. First up, if I could call on Helen Sheen, please, from Morgan Sindall Property Services.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Helen Sheen. I'm Head of Social Value at Morgan Sindall Property Services.
And Morgan Sindall were the winners of last year's Data Award?
Accounting and Reporting category, yeah.
Accounting and Reporting category, yes, sorry. And next we have Karen Young and Jamie Holders from Hayes UK. Karen, if I could, will you just say a quick hello?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karen Young. I'm a director at Hayes. We're a world leader in specialist recruitment and workforce solutions, and I have the pleasure of leading our social and environmental purpose at Hayes for the UK and Ireland. And I'll hand to Jamie.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So I'm Jamie Holders, and I'm a director from Hayes, and my responsibility is to lead on Project Flourish, which some of you will know about and some will know a little bit more shortly.
And Hayes were the winners of last year's Creating Capability Award. Next, please, Emma Bell from Chapter 1 UK.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the afternoon. I'm Emma, the CEO of Chapter 1. We're a literacy charity that focuses on setting young children up to succeed in the early stages of their learning.
And Chapter 1 were the winners of last year's Enabling Technology Award. They've got a really great platform. For anybody who's not familiar with them, I would encourage you to go and look them up. And last but not least, Frank Kibble from Spacehive, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, Frank Kibble from Spacehive. I'm a partnership director at Spacehive, and we're the home of community fundraising. So anything that local people want to fund in their local area, we give them the tools to raise that funding and bring in some additional funds from various different companies and organisations that amplify it. So we were the, what do you want to introduce it, Shah? I'm happy to say.
Yeah,
we won the Radical Collaboration Award last year for our work with Kent County Council and a range of different partners I'll speak about in a moment.
Thank you. So into the presentations. Helen, please.
Thank you, Shah. So good afternoon, everybody. My name's Helen Sheen. I'm Head of Social Value at Morgan Sindall Property Services. Last year, we were delighted to win in the accountability and reporting category at the awards. I'm going to be talking about how we report our social value activity, celebrate our impact, and hold ourselves accountable. I'll also share some insight on the impact that winning the award has had last year, both on our business and also in the sector as well. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our organisation. Morgan Sindall Property Services provides integrated asset management for housing associations and local authorities across the UK. Our services include responsive repairs, void refurbishment, compliancy services, retrofit and planned maintenance. We're one of 8 businesses within the Morgan Sindall Group, and my social value team consists of 6 social value officers across the UK who are linked to all of our contracts. So here's some headline numbers about our company. So we have 900 plus employees. In 2024, we completed over 350,000 repairs. We have 14 regional locations and we work with 30 clients. Next slide, please. So measuring our impact, how do we hold ourselves accountable? So our offer is very driven by client and community needs. We use locally based KPIs so we can be really clear and sure that we're supporting those socio-economic issues where we're working. And that KPI setting is very much driven by data, so local needs analysis and data to ensure that we really are tackling the issues in the area. And I think also that allows for collaborative decision making between us and our clients. We firmly believe at Property Services that social value has to flex and change. It can never stay the same. Communities don't stand still, and it's really important that we are engaging with our clients and reflecting and supporting their needs. All of our social value is linked to our 5 pillars. Our 5 pillars are community cohesion, social mobility, economic resilience, environment and partnerships. And I think what's really important about that is it clearly demonstrates what we're all about, what our social value here is at Morgan Sindall. We also have an annual social value report. For us, it's so important that we put some narrative behind those numbers. I do think that the social value world and the high numbers that come out of impact can sometimes be viewed with cynicism. And I think it's really important that we put the narrative behind those numbers. And it's an opportunity for us to celebrate the work that we've done as well. Using the social value portal to validate our activity prevents blue washing, which is another thing that's really important to us, and ensures our social impact is credible and transparent. Moving on to reporting. Now, when we first started reporting, we found it really overwhelming as a team. different people would be using different strategies to do their reporting. There was no consistency and there was no standard. So one of the things that we did quite early on was we all got together as a team and decided what would be the best way of resolving that, so that it was a way that everybody could have some impact in designing that, and we knew it was user friendly. So we came across something called the SID, Social Impact Database. It's a spreadsheet, it's very straightforward, but what it does is it's a one-stop shop for all of our social value evidence. It mirrors the social value portal in terms of terminology and language. So it's really easy at the end of the reporting period to transfer all of the information onto the SID, from the SID onto the social value portal. It's clear, it's efficient, it's removed a lot of the errors that we were finding. It's certainly reduced the amount of clarifications that we were getting back from the social value portal. And then at the end of the reporting period, the SID is updated onto the portal as our social value evidence for that period. We've certainly seen less clarifications coming back from the social value portal. And I think now, where we've been working with the social value portal for a number of years, there's this understanding about the way that we evidence our social value, and the social value portal are attuned to that. So that's how we do our reporting here, and fingers crossed it seems to be working. And then celebrating our journey. This is so important. We work in social housing. The work that we do really needs to resonate with our customers to make sure that they engage with us. So we're really big on case studies. So we do case studies for all of our activity and we share it with our clients. As I discussed, we already have an annual social value report. So important, you know, it's a real shop window for us, really. And also social media. We are really big on social media. We share everything as far and wide as we can. All of my social value officers share their stories on social media, because I think it's really important that they have that very human engagement with people. So this slide now is our social value created for communities. This is validated social value from the social value portal. This is for April 24 to April 25. You can see some headline numbers here, £67,000 in donations, over 1,000 hours of volunteering, 7,700 school pupils engaged with, 124 weeks of work experience, 2,500 weeks of apprenticeships. And I'm delighted to say that since we started using the social value portal in 2022, we've created £186 million of social value. That's validated social value that's making a difference in communities around the country today. Next slide, please. So progress since the award. So what have we been doing since the award? Well, we've spent a lot of time capacity building our supply chain. The supply chain are so important to delivering social value. So we've been holding a lot of sessions with them. We hold biannual social value sessions where they're encouraged to talk about what social value that they've done with us and also talk about their social value journey. We're really keen to give something back to our supply chain. Capacity building in the sector is so very important. And so we've started some supply chain masterclasses. These are held monthly for an hour online. And at each session, one of our social value practitioners will take them through some social value information. So it could be something along the lines, how do you create a social value charter? Or how do you use social value in your work winning? Or how do you celebrate your social value credentials? So that's something that we're giving back to the supply chain. And I think that's really important, that it doesn't feel to the supply chain that it's all one way sometimes. So we've also, I would say, set the benchmark for Morgan Sindall Group. When we won the Accountability and Reporting Award, it certainly has made Morgan Sindall Group look at what we're doing in property services. And I'm pleased to say that the social value portal is being used across the Morgan Sindall Group now. So we can ensure there's transparency and there's robustness in all of our reporting as divisions. And finally, the continued sector recognition. I'm delighted to say that since we won the award last October, we have picked up another 5 awards, sector industry awards, and these range from personal awards. One of my team last week won the Rising Star at the Housing Executive Magazine Awards. And I was really honoured to be nominated as one of Housing Today's top 30 housing champions for 2025. And I suppose finally, the most exciting piece of all of this is we have been shortlisted again at the Social Value Awards in the Creating Capability section. So fingers crossed for Thursday that we bring it home again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. We have had some questions in the Q&A with regard to SID. Do you have a link? Is it a paid for service or a template that you could share?
It's a spreadsheet, so it's something that we've designed in-house. Happy to share it. It's got a number of prompts and drop downs that the social value practitioners can use, so we can ensure that there's consistency. But yes, we're happy to share that.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. So if anybody is interested, I can see that there are at least 6 questions in the chat with regard to SID. Please do connect with Helen on LinkedIn. I'm sure she will be able to help you. Thank you very much. Moving on to Karen and Jamie, please.
Great, thank you very much, Shah, and great to hear the story there, Helen. So as the lead for social purpose for Hayes, I'd just like to briefly set the scene before I hand to Jamie. At Hayes, we've had a long history of doing the right thing. I've worked for Hayes for nearly 3 decades. It's beating heart of our organisation, it's in our DNA. And certainly as a business, we really do shape what we do in social impact around how our people feel about things and where we feel we can make the most difference. So things like our Global Helping for You Tomorrow programme really focus on using the skills we have because of who we are as a business and the people we have as colleagues to help to reach those furthest from the job market and give them a helping hand. Excuse the frog in my throat. But we are really being candid quite early on in our journey of true social impact strategy, and becoming a member of Social Value Portal was a real game changer for us 3 years ago, and we were the first recruitment organisation of our type to join, and that's really helped us to shape our strategy and really in the spirit of the award to create our own capability. So there's lots of things that we're doing. We've got lots of ambitions for the future. In my humble opinion, however, in all of the programs that I'm involved with and that we run, from extensive volunteering programs with partners like Neighbourly, Project Flourish, created in collaboration with every youth, is the most meaningful. And why do I say that? Because it really creates true impact. It changes young people's lives one at a time, and really makes a difference to how they go on and face their futures. And certainly as a sort of the ultimate people business, I suppose, because of what we do, changing lives is really important to us. So to tell you more about Project Flourish and bring that to life, I'm now going to hand over to Jamie.
Thank you, Karen. I'm glad that was recorded because that was very nice of you to say that about Project Flourish. Okay, so first thing really is, why do we have Project Flourish? When we actually looked at this, we realised that there's a huge issue across youth homelessness. And with over 118,000 young people approaching their local authority last year, literally 1 every 4 minutes there's a young person at risk of homelessness. So we feel in Hayes that by providing meaningful and sustainable employment, we can help break this cycle. So Project Flourish, if we could just go on to the first slide, please. Project Flourish is essentially a collaboration that Hayes have undertaken with every youth homelessness charities and their network of delivery partner charities as well. So we've collaborated with them to create an end-to-end employability programme, which is a free service. It's a pro bono free service offering. Now, to the young people that come into the programme, they gain access to long-term opportunities, and we tailor support for them to enable them to stay, sustain, and genuinely flourish within the role. So some of the young people will have access to mentors, the learning management system with support around health and wellbeing, training and skills. And they all have access to a bursary up to £2,000 each, which can help in terms of breaking some of those barriers, getting to work, clothing, food, travel, rent deposits, and so on. From an employer's perspective, obviously they see the tailored support for the young person, but from the employer's perspective, we work very closely to help them run inclusive recruitment processes but more importantly, really, to create a positive environment. So we run employer awareness sessions with the support of a clinical psychologist that talk around adolescent mindset, trauma-informed sort of responses as well. Ultimately, we want employers to see the potential and actually benefit from having young people who are the most committed, the most loyal, the most resilient employees that you have. And we can only do this by pulling together all the experts and genuinely working together as a collaboration. It's a team effort. So think about last year when we won this award. Fantastic, perfect timing. We'd literally come out of the back of 18 months of research, shaping, looking at how we were going to do this and really learning about this before diving in. We just started off on pilots, and the first pilot was a young person we actually brought into Hayes. So we wanted to learn about it ourselves before we rolled it out with other employers. We've learned a lot of lessons. We've learned the importance of you can't separate housing and employment. And many of these young people are facing two of the biggest decisions in their life around accommodation and employment at the same time, without having the emotional and financial support of role models, family, and really strong sort of individuals to help guide them. So we've had to sort of factor that in. And we've also learned we need to be flexible. So different resources are required at different times. And it's limited resources from some of the areas like the charity sector that we have to accommodate for. The bursary, we have to be very flexible around how we apply the financial support. So if we could just move on to the next slide, please. So if we compare last year to this year, last year was shaping, we just went live, we've started to do pilots. But actually now we have, in terms of pilots, we've gone from 2 or 3 young people to over 35 young people that are working in long-term job opportunities. And this is across multiple sectors, the public sector, private and third sector, and different industries, you know, across construction, retail, business services, hospitality. And we're trialing this, continually improving as we then move forward. The learning management system, this time last year, we had 250 users on it. We've actually rolled it out to the youth charity network, so the young people are accessing it, even if they're not doing pilots under Project Flourish. That's now gone to over 800 young people that are accessing the system now to get support through health and wellbeing, training, skills, free qualifications, and so on. And then we've also thrown it open to more of the charities in the Every Youth Network, and we've grown from working with 12 to 19 different charities as well. And there's been over 2,000 courses accessed. This time last year it was 581. So there's been quite a big development there in terms of outcomes. If I look at the network, how we've developed this to get more traction within the employment space, there've been some key strategic alliances. One of the ones that's on here is Homewards. So we've become a partner, an activator to Homewards as part of the Royal Foundation, and we're rolling out pilots across 6 of their locations that they focus on at the moment as well. I've also been very involved with Crisis, and I'm actually on the advisory board for their Homelessness Alliance. And through that, we've also worked with other organisations that have signed up to the Alliance, and we have 7 young people working with Alliance partners alone. And then we've also won different awards, one of which is Movement to Work, where we won the award for Best Newcomer just a few months back. But overall, we're not just generating social value for us, but for the partners, the employers that we work with, we've generated over £1 million worth of social value just through our activities over the last 12 months. And then if you just go on to the final slide for me, please. Just in terms of going forward, what's happening? Now it's about scale up. I'm working with a local authority that's a good customer of ours to see if we can tailor this specifically for care leavers within local authorities. I'm also looking at how we can develop mentoring and coaching to give that longer term support. This is about long-term outcomes. So we're developing different cohorts and models. And we've recently secured funding, and we have a stream of additional funding that will enable us to move from the 35 young people to up to 150 young people over the next 2 to 3 years. And this is just the start for us. The important thing is that, you know, just by having an impact on one person's young life to break this cycle is worth it. and I'd welcome anybody that's interested to get in contact with me if you want to get involved in the programme. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Really interesting projects and some really great questions in the chat as well, which we will follow up in the Q&A session. Next, if I could, Emma, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm loving the little icons that are popping up and down the screen. Thank you all for kind of engaging with us in that way. I'm going to do something slightly unorthodox, which is I'm going to share my own screen for the presentation. So hopefully you can view this now. And Shah, if you could just let me know that you can see the screen as I'm presenting.
We can.
Perfect. Good. I will hide that little bar at the bottom. So I'm Emma Bell. I'm the CEO of Chapter One. It's fantastic to be able to be with you all to just reflect on what's happened in our world since we won the Enabling Technology Award last year at the Social Value Awards. It was a fantastic evening for us. It's the first time our work has been recognised in this way, and we've done a huge amount over the last 2 or 3 years, I think, to try and position ourselves so that we can partner really effectively with businesses who need to demonstrate how they're providing social value to communities. So it was really fantastic to have the recognition this time last year. I'm going to tell you just a little bit before I talk about the last year about Chapter One and what we do, for those of you who are not aware. So the premise of Chapter One's work is that literacy is a critical and fundamental life skill. So the evidence is very, very clear that reading is obviously about accessing education and learning and opportunity, but it's also about ensuring that you have a happier and healthier life, because reading underpins so many things that you need to be able to do to thrive in life. There are unfortunately in this country too many children who struggle with reading. You might or might not know that as many as 38% of children, particularly from disadvantaged backgrounds, leave primary school not reading adequately, and that reading for pleasure is actually at its lowest recorded for the last 20 years. So what we try and do at Chapter One, many organisations working on this, many businesses really invested in the notion of educating young people and giving them opportunity. But the part that we play is helping to close the reading gap by providing children with one-to-one support at the time they need it most. And that's where our enabling technology comes in. So at Chapter One, we've developed quite a unique online volunteer reading model, which is driven by a bespoke platform that we've created. So a piece of technology sits at the very heart of our work, and it enables our volunteers to connect wherever they might be in the country with a child in a classroom that they're going to read with. So it's a very straightforward piece of technology. All the onboarding and registration of volunteers that we do in collaboration with our business partners is fully automated and digital. And when it comes to the platform itself, volunteers have a single log on to our platform, and it's there that they're able to both connect with the classroom of the child that they're supporting and also find all of the content for the inspiring and exciting reading sessions that they have with their child each week. So we ask our volunteers, and all of them come from businesses, to commit to just 30 minutes a week for an entire year. We make the opportunity, it's fully online, so it is very flexible, time efficient, and very scalable for businesses who want to engage staff from many different business offices all across the country. We provide all of the training and the DBS checks for volunteers that get involved. And we also provide all of our partners with impact data, which is an important part of, I think, the offer that we can provide to businesses who have particular social value targets that they need to meet. The primary schools that we work with are specifically located in areas where there are a higher number of children receiving free school meals. So that tends to be socially disadvantaged communities in different parts of the country. And what we're able to offer our partners is a really nice opportunity for them to be able to deliver social value in a community that matters to them. That might be because they've got a local project that is working there, or it might be a particular community that they've focused on giving back to as part of their social value commitments. So we are really able to deliver a kind of help our partners deliver place-based social value, which we know is really important to them. In the year coming, we are going to be working with 175 different businesses who provide those amazing, fantastic and committed volunteers. We're in 13 different UK regions, and we'll be supporting 3,800 children with about 30,000 reading hours, which, if you're doing quick maths, is nigh on 3 years of end-to-end reading. So to give you a sense of where we are in the country, and just a very brief kind of taster of the different businesses that we're working with who are very active in the world of social value, this map sort of demonstrates our 13 regions. There's a little kind of breakout there for the different places that we are, schools that we're operational in London. And you can see on the right, our partners range across lots and lots of different sectors, that 175. But I've pulled out for you here just a number of the partners who we work very closely with, who have social value commitments in particular areas, from councils to construction businesses to the NHS. So we are able, and I think have demonstrated over time, that we can really help those partners with the data and information that they need. So since our award last year, a whole range of different things has happened. I mean, we have very ambitious organisational targets, because we, as a charity, don't feel that we want to rest until we've managed to support as many children as possible, and to engage, I think, really, and galvanise incredibly committed individuals who are working in the businesses that you're all part of, who really desperately want to spend time giving back to young people and are crying out for a flexible and time efficient way to do that. So we are delighted that we have supported over 3,300 children in the last year. So as you can see, next year we're targeting that to be even higher. We have of those 175 partners, we have a high retention rate of partners year on year. So we grow our partner base each year, and we retain 85% of our existing partners. In the last year, we delivered about £1.6 million worth of social value, and had a 25% increase in the TOMS value that we were able to deliver using the TOMS framework. And the ways that we help our partners meet social value commitments, and have done really in the last year, have been a very diverse range, which we've really tailored to the businesses that we've wanted to connect with and the needs of our particular partners. So we've been part of successful bids, and kind of helped partners at the early stage of bid writing describe how it is that our model can help them deliver social value. We've been able to demonstrate geographical flexibility, as I've talked about, meeting partners where they are in terms of communities that they need to be demonstrating that they're serving. We provide our partners with lots of real-time impact data on everything from kind of volunteer hours to achievements and skills gained by the young people who use our programmes. And we've been able to help our partners align their need to meet the SDG goals, or indeed government priorities, such as the National Year of Reading, which is coming up next year, with the work that we're doing. And importantly, and sort of excitingly, one of the fresh things that we've done in the last year is our partnership with an organisation called Impact Advantage, which some of you might have heard of. So, you know, not a million miles away from Helen's discussion of the SID, you know, what the mechanism they've been using at Morgan Sindall to collect all their social value information. What we've developed in consultation with Impact Advantage is a really bespoke and kind of robust model, which enables us to demonstrate the social value that we have created as an organisation for the young people that we work with. So we can drill that down into an impact per student, an impact per volunteer. We can also then demonstrate the improvements in reading skills and reading behaviours that are a part of that social value that we're generating. And what's exciting about the set of dashboards that we're working to finalise actually at the moment with Impact Advantage is that we can drill down in a very granular way to give this information by partner, by school, by region. So we're really hoping that as we roll this out over the next year, it's going to be really helpful and usable for the partners that we rely on and are extremely grateful to for working with us and supporting young people with their reading. So I think that is it from me.
Thank you very much, Emma. Some really great impacts and some really great data and evidence as well. And speaking as somebody whose first language is not English, whose home language is not English, I'm a really passionate advocate for reading and reading skills and encouraging particularly children, but also teenagers and older students as well, about reading for pleasure and how it expands your vocabulary, it increases your access to education and access to services, and just how much of a crucial skill it is to be able to navigate life and enjoy life, really. And last but by no means least, Frank, please, from Spacehive.
Thank you very much, Shah. And I just wanted to also just echo that the presentations so far have been absolutely amazing. I know a little bit about them from having met those colleagues before, but really to get into the detail there has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much so far. I'm here to talk to you all about what we've done at Spacehive since winning the Radical Collaboration Award last year. So again, just a bit of background about who we are at Spacehive. We're a fundraising platform for community projects, and that's the widest range of locally led ideas that you could think of, anything from murals to community gardening to installing solar panels on a church roof or employability programs, anything that local people see as a priority in their neighborhood or their community. We give them the platform to raise funds for that project and to get considerable donations beyond kind of what Joe Blogs can chip in from a range of partners that we have across the public, private and third sector. And this is all predicated on our mission to make it easy for anyone to improve their local area. And what that ladders up to you is an amazing amount of social impact being delivered across communities in the UK and Ireland, where we recently expanded, actually. Maybe that's a bit of a spoiler on what's happened since the award. And what we try to do at Spacehive is convene all of those different stakeholders on one simple, easy to use platform. Community, councils, housing associations, health trusts, suppliers to the public sector, corporate organisations, employers working in that area, to all join together to collectively fund projects. And what we're seeing at the moment on Spacehive is making it easier to improve their local area, is allowing communities to go from strength to strength, because they take ownership of their own ideas through crowdfunding and can tap into additional funding to amplify what they can deliver. And as we and actually another spoiler on what's happened over the last year, and in fact it's actually over the last couple of weeks, we recently reached the milestone of £40 million raised for communities across the country on our platform. Really a substantial investment there in communities up and down the country, something we're really proud of. And that growth, probably about 25% of that growth, if not more than that, has come over the last couple of years, as we're seeing more councils, more public sector suppliers really adopting this way of funding community projects, which is collaborative and isn't necessarily kind of paternalistic. It's everyone joining together to fund these projects. We enjoy it on Spacehive an industry-leading success rate of fundraising. 85% of projects, in fact, exceed their fundraising target on Spacehive. So really, what that means is that this is a tried and tested path for communities to actually make an impact in their local areas, and also for funders to support projects with the confidence and the governance that will vet these type of projects. And what we also see is that 65% of projects on Spacehive are actually funded by people who've never done this before. They've never done online fundraising, never submitted a grant application. They're people with fresh ideas for communities. They're not necessarily the usual suspects. And that's where these amazing stories from communities really come to the surface that I'll come on to in a moment's time. And as we have moved through this year as well, we've seen some really interesting things happen with our public sector partners, particularly with local government. And local government has long been a really key partner of Spacehive. We're the crowdfunding platform of choice for councils. and things like the National Lottery Heritage funding streams that are out there with nature, towns and cities. The government's recent announcement about Pride in Place funding have really given new interesting ways of how we can support communities. Just to give a bit of a sense of what our partnerships with councils really entail, because I'll be talking about that in context of our work with Kent County Council in just a moment. What it consists of is the combination of community crowdfunding on the Spacehive platform plus grant making, traditional kind of processes that I'm sure most people on the call will be familiar with today. And what we do is goes beyond a kind of just a technology platform. We deliver a really tailored community engagement program within the area that we are working with the council to reach into communities to find suitable projects that deliver on a whole range of objectives that have been set by our funding partners, of course. So that's inspiring in-person events, the support of our project success team, and also the verification of all of the projects. And I talked about vetting just a moment ago. We check the budgets, the permissions, the governance of each project, just to ensure that there's a level of viability with these projects, and that ladders up to our really high success rate. And then the final piece of the jigsaw, which we've been hearing a little bit about already today, is impact reporting. We have a tool that measures all of the data that our partners need to capture from these projects that have been funded on our platform. But it goes beyond that. It captures the qualitative stuff as well, the images, the testimonials, the videos, the press clippings even, that really tell the story of a company's or a council's impact. So 12 months on from the award, and we've continued our work in Kent to support communities there. In total, we've raised £1.96 million. I wish I could round that up to 2 million just yet, but it will be hopefully in a few weeks' time that we clock over there. So, you know, that is a really a flagship program for us. You know, quite a considerable chunk of the funding that's ever been raised on the platform has come through Kent. So it speaks to the real uptake of this method of funding projects, and it's gone towards 118 projects in the county. And it's also garnered 7,600 donations from communities. So that's people chipping in a couple of quid, but also businesses coming forward, local charities perhaps chipping in, and all of those organisations are really getting involved in projects via crowdfunding that they perhaps wouldn't have done so had it not been for crowdfunding, which is public by its very nature. For our partners, one of the key aspects of what we do at Spacehive is to amplify the grant funding that they've got available. Because we're combining grants with crowdfunding, our partners can leverage their grants with everything that's crowded in from all other sources, external sources. And what we're seeing in the county now is more than a 2-to-1 return on investment for Kent County Council. So this has allowed them to really amplify not just their engagement, but the funding that they have to support communities. And ultimately, that's the impact that's delivered by local people. All the while, we've been busy recruiting more partners to this program. And that's really led to organisations like Veolia, like NHS Kent and Medway, like Motorhomes joining the programme, providing funding as well, because they can see that it's a great way to co-fund and collaborate with communities. And it's a framework, really, that can actually, the kind of goodwill that's instilled from that framework can be leveraged for other kind of projects, for other things that these organisations want to do. So, and all this means for the communities is there's more funding, more choice, more opportunities for them to make an impact in their local area and make it easy for them to improve their local area. So on the next slides, I've got a few examples of the types of projects we've seen funded on the platform. This is an amazing project in Dover, getting the over 50s moving there. It's backed by over 120 people through crowdfunding, a free 24-week program for people. And it's really the outcomes of this project are helping people to stay fit and healthy, and obviously mitigating some of those burdens on the NHS, of course. Next up, we've got a foraging and cooking workshops to build relationships with refugees. This is what we call at Spacehive a small but mighty project. This was just £704 that was raised to do this project. but what it does is it's building relationships between different groups and helping community cohesion across the county. Obviously, something that everyone will be familiar with in the new social value model. Then we've got a new training centre for young people and young adults with SEND requirements in Thanet. So this is the first of its kind in the country as a training centre, and they just published their impact report a couple of days ago, actually. So I've got just a hot off the presses some stats for you. 79 volunteers involved in this project, 476 days volunteering, 2 jobs created, 3 new community groups started, 5 courses provided so far, and 18,600 hours of training provided. So really just quite a modest investment from the county council has led to this really outsized impact via crowdfunding. And then finally, funding.
I'm really sorry, Frank. If I could just cut you off, I'm loath to cut you off because I know that you have lots and lots of great stories. I'm just conscious of time.
Yes, of course.
We've had lots of questions in the chat, lots of excitement about all of your projects, and I'd like to give some space to that. Please forgive me.
That's no problem. No worries. I'll wait for the questions. Hopefully, I can bring out a few things I was going to say.
Thank you very much. So if you stop your screen sharing, then we can see our lovely members of our panel. Welcome back, everybody. We did have some questions prepared, but I also wanted to give all of our panelists the space to talk about their success. A lot of the questions have been answered, so I do have a couple of questions that I will come to you on. A question that's come up in the chat whilst all of you have been talking is, does your service provision extend to Wales? Frank?
Yes, we're active all over the UK and Ireland. So whether it's euros or pounds, we can process them and create impact in local areas.
Thank you. Emma?
Not currently, but we would love to talk about Wales with anyone who's interested in helping us think about the feasibility in sort of Welsh dual language schools, which is the only thing that's kind of been a little bit of a consideration for us to date. So yeah, let us know if you're keen to talk about Wales.
Thank you. Helen?
Not yet, but we're very happy for our award-winning social value team to be working in Wales.
Karen and Jamie, either one of you?
Yes, and to Jamie.
Yeah, we're UK wide, and we're currently doing pilots in Wales as part of that.
Okay. One of the recurring themes that's kind of come up in the chat, but also as well when I speak to social value people, all of your projects have clearly kind of like demonstrated measurable impact. But in a session that I was in earlier, we talked about data with soul. What, very quickly, your one top tip for anybody on effective ways to communicate what the human level impacts of your projects are on your stakeholders and your funders? Helen?
I would say be real, be honest, because that really impacts and resonates with people. I think you just need to really be yourself, because social values are very humanistic field to be in. I think you need to portray that human face.
Okay. Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, I come at it from a slightly different angle with Project Flourish. I think protecting the identity and being more concerned about the individual, it being beneficial for them, needs to be at the centre of it as well. And it's their decision as to whether they want to tell their own story or whether it's better to actually anonymise some of these things.
Karen, did you want to add anything onto Jamie's thoughts on there?
It's similar to what's been said, but just putting people first. Don't lose sight of the human story behind the figures. You know, stakeholders, whoever they are, care about seeing real lives impacted. So don't let that hide behind the numbers.
Yeah, Emma, is that something you'd share, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. We talked in our prep session about the importance of the heart and the head. For us, we exemplify that through, I think, what really kind of detailed and rich case studies. So we try and interview children themselves. We talk to teachers, we talk to volunteers, we talk to parents, and we try and triangulate the impact that the programme has on young people in a way that really brings them to life, as Helen and Karen and Jamie were saying. So yeah, keep it really real and authentic, and invest the time in talking to people about their experience rather than just having kind of superficial surveys, I'd say.
That's really great advice. Frank, I know that your platform captures everything. You know, you talked about the press clippings and all of the videos and journals and things like that. So, you know, I imagine that you are an expert in this type of thing. And I'm sure if people wanted to know more, you've always been very generous with your time and answers when I've reached out to you. So I'm sure if anybody would like to know more, please do connect with Frank or indeed any of our panel members today. As we look forward, do any of you have any exciting projects in the pipeline that could be a contender for next year? What might we, I know some of you have been like listed for awards this year, and we wish you the best of luck, but what's brewing in the pipeline that could be a contender next year? Shall we start with the team from Hayes, Karen and Jamie?
For me, it's I'll let Jamie go, but it's actually it's scaling up what we've begun. I think it's too easy sometimes to move on to something else and look at the next bright shiny thing. So we did, as Jamie said, 18 months of research and really kind of listening. So we want to keep listening, but implement what we've learned. Jamie?
Yeah, honestly, Shah, you don't expect me to say anything else, do you? Surely, Project Flourish is where I'm at, and that's we're going to continue to drive. And this is just the start, as far as I'm concerned. So we need to stick with it and get scale and sustainable impact.
That's really lovely to hear, and I think it's important that we don't, you know, lose sight of good stuff that we've catalyzed already and just move on. Don't reinvent the wheel. If it's good, keep it going. Helen, what Morgan Sindall got in the pipeline?
So we've got our eyes on the prize of the Making Core Award next year. I think we're going to build on the work that we've done with our supply chain, you know, building capacity, but also look at how we can carry that golden thread throughout our business.
Excellent, excellent ambition. Frank?
We have just in the last couple of weeks actually launched a new feature on Spacehive called Social Impact Donations, or I hope not confusingly for this session, SID, which is really it's a feature that allows companies to connect their donations to the projects that are on the Spacehive platform now. So a really simple mechanism for tapping into really pre-vetted projects, capturing the impact data, and making sure those donations have a really safe and secure journey to the communities. I'll post my email address in the chat as well, and I'll be on stand 6 at the in-person conference on Thursday. So if anyone wants to chat about the Spacehive version of SID, please do come up, say hello, and I'm happy to arrange a time with those who won't be there on Thursday as well.
Thank you, Frank. And Emma, what have you got in the pipeline?
Well, I've got my eye on the Accountability and Reporting Award, actually, because I think there's all kinds of things that we're doing in quite a novel way for a charity of our size in the kind of education sector to help really share with our partners the granular social value that they're having on young people. So I'd quite like to take, hopefully, the work we've been doing of Impact Advantage and win that award. I'll set my sights high, even if we happen to be slightly smaller than Morgan Sindall in terms of organisational heft. I think, you know, nothing like ambition. And actually, just to build on what Frank said, I'm not going to be in Birmingham myself, but my colleague Sarah Taylor and Roxy Welch and Karen Price will be around. So if you want to know anything about Chapter 1, I will pop some of those emails in the chat as well. We'd, you know, love to obviously talk to any businesses who are keen to know more about our work.
Thank you very much indeed, everybody, for your time this morning. I've really enjoyed listening to you, and from the comments that and the reactions that have been popping off in the chat, I can tell that this has been a really great session that people have enjoyed engaging with. I wish we had longer, and if anybody is coming to Birmingham on Thursday, please come and look us up. We'll buy you all a donut and we can have a longer chat about some of these things. Thank you to everybody who has joined us for today's session. I hope you've found some really great information and been inspired to be able to submit an application yourselves next year. Hopefully I'll be invited back as a judge next year. They won't just kick me off the panel, in which case I would love to see some of the names that are in the chat submitting an award next year. Thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks, everyone.